Rivalry week here. I think it's a great part of college football, an opportunity to compete for the Battle Line Trophy and to have bragging rights for this game. I know in Branson and Lake of the Ozarks, there's always Arkansas, Missouri flags flying. So, especially when I'm there in the summer. So obviously, this is a big game for us. We know Arkansas will be well prepared, and it's always very difficult to go play in Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. Certainly, the fans are always loud, and we know that the Arkansas is going to have a lot to play for. I think Coach Pittman's done a terrific job with that program, and I think he is really done a really good job of building the talent. You look at their offense. I mean, KJ Jefferson always plays really well against us. Ever since 2020, I feel like we've played that guy forever. He's very talented. I think he's the all-time leading passer for Arkansas, which is, I mean, they've had some tremendous quarterbacks there in the past, including in leading passing touchdowns. So obviously got a lot of respect for him. Their wide receivers, Andrew Armstrong and several others, do a really good job. Their running back, Rocket Sanders, is as good as anybody in the country, and so we definitely have our hands full preparing for that offense. We know they've made changes and have gone back to more of a tempo style, which is what they did in the past, which has given us a lot of trouble. And so we've got, especially on a short week, a lot to prepare for. Defensively, I think Travis Williams has done an outstanding job. Their defensive players attack the football. They're really good at forcing turnovers. I think they lead the country in defensive touchdowns. Just very impressed with the energy that they play with, the style of defense that they play with. They're very good on the defensive front. They've had a lot of secondary players transfer in, and they are playing at a high level on the defensive side of the ball. And then special teams, I mean, their field goal kicker, Cam Little's as good as anybody in the country. I know Coach Fountain does an excellent job. They had a fake on us a couple of years ago. They normally have a really good fake scheme. They've had a punt return for a touchdown. Their kickoff return scheme is very difficult. And so, we've absolutely got to play our best game of the year. We need to prepare the right way in a short week, and we need to make sure that our focus is on playing our best ball. We are definitely beat up. This has been a tough stretch for us, these 4 games after the bye week. I would list Chuck Hicks, Javon Foster, Brett Norfleet, Ennis Rakestraw, and Tyron Hopper as questionable. All of those guys suffered injuries in the game. And in a short week, going into week 12, it'll be interesting. We're going to have our challenges to get those guys back. As probable, I would list Brady Cook, Cody Schrader, Luther Burden, and Realist George. All those guys played, but did suffer some injuries or nicks during the game, but we'll be able to practice today. The guys listed as questionable, we have our first meeting at 1, and then we'll find out if those guys will be able to go for practice or not. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
You mentioned Rocket Sanders. I know he's been in and out a little bit. Only had, I think, 2 carries last week. Do you expect to see him at full strength, and is that how you prepare this week?
Yeah, and rivalry week, I think you always prepare for their best players. I anticipate them leaving it all out on the field. They have an opportunity to win a trophy. So I would anticipate that those guys, play. I don't know this, but I would assume it's senior night or senior day at Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. So I'd assume that those guys will want to go out there and perform one last time in front of those fans.
I think this is the 10th time this has been an official rivalry game, and you've seen it grow. How have you kind of seen the intensity of Mizzou, Arkansas grow over the years?
Well, I mean, just based off reading my Twitter mentions, I'd say it's pretty strong. So, yeah, I mean, it means a lot to us. I think anytime you play for a trophy as a competitor, it means something to you. We have, last year Barrett Bannister, from Fayetteville, it meant a lot to him, and he would echo that to our players. This year we got Drayden Norwood and Jordan Harris from the state of Arkansas, and I know it's going to mean a lot to those guys to go back into that stadium. And we enjoy that people don't think it's a rivalry because we believe it is a rivalry.
Anything from Twitter particularly stand out to you?
It wouldn't be safe to express in public. You'd have to read my lips, bad deal.
How often did you get up there, growing up in Arkansas, to Razorback games at the stadium?
I really didn't go very much just from a financial standpoint growing up, but in college, went to a couple of games, and then when I was a high school coach there in Springdale, my wife and I would go. We had tickets in the southeast end zone, so I don't know if it's southeast end zone, but the south end zone, and we were there pretty regularly.
Coach, KJ Jefferson is also their leading rusher with 432 yards, but about 235 of them come from scrambles. How do you guys kind of contain him, especially how big he is?
Yeah, that is a difficult challenge, one that we haven't really solved very well in 4 seasons. This will be our 4th time to play him. I think his first year in 2020 got his first career start when Felipe Franks was injured, and he absolutely stole the show. Played tremendous against us. He's a big physical runner. He's so strong. There's a couple of clips in the Florida game of him just overpowering guys. He looks for the contact, and so you're going to have to, especially when he's in the pocket, you can't go low because that's a personal foul, and you can't go high because you're going to bounce off of him. So I think Coach Saban said throw him off at like a gnat on a cow's ass or something. So, it's a pretty difficult challenge. We're going to have to do a good job of tackling him and containing him. I have a lot of respect for KJ. I recruited him when I was at NC State and made that trip to North Panola High School, and he's just an outstanding young man. You can tell the way he plays that his teammates really respond to him, and you can tell he's a fearless competitor. And I have a tremendous amount of competitive respect for him as a player.
Follow up to that real quick. What have you seen development-wise this year? That's another, I guess, weapon in this arsenal that could be a problem for you guys.
He's always been an accurate thrower. He's always been able to throw the ball down the field, but really just watching the last 3 games, I think his decision-making process has been really good. I think he's sped it up. He's getting from 1, 2 to 3 pretty easily. There's not a lot of coverage disguise that bothers him. So, I think anytime you play with a lot of experience, I think it shows up, and obviously year 4 for him.
Eli, you mentioned Arkansas's ability to create turnovers.
Yeah.
What's kind of the keys for your offense and preventing against that?
Well, it was the difference in our game on Saturday. Ultimately, was our ability not to turn the ball over and create 2 takeaways from them. I think they're really good at attacking the ball with the ball carriers, specifically the wide receivers that, against Florida, the very first play of the game, they really tackled the ball and not the ball carrier. When the ball is in the air, they're clearly going to the ball. I think it's an emphasis that probably Coach Williams has brought to that program, and they really are reflective in doing it.
On your run defense, after a couple really good weeks, obviously Florida ran the ball quite a bit better. What'd you see looking back on the film?
Yeah, there was a lot of different issues that got to get cleaned up. They do a good job of distorting your eyes through motions and angles of departure by the back out of the pistol, and we just weren't very clean there. I didn't think as far as our linebackers, I didn't think they're pretty big up front. I didn't necessarily think our interior shed blocks as well as we had in the past. I just don't think our intensity in the second half was as good as it was in the first half to stop the run. And that style of offense, if you don't come out in P&10 and get a negative yardage player keeping it 0, their offense is a build-upon drive offense, so they keep you guessing as it goes, and it gets really difficult. So, with us not having the ability to get first down stops or create havoc on first down, and then we let the quarterback scramble too much, especially when Graham Mertz got injured. I would like to send a shout-out, to Graham, and as a competitor, I think he is a really good football player. I know he's from Kansas City. I thought he was really good in that game Saturday. I'm disappointed that he got injured, but that play he made running the football and creating a first down, that was a really good football play, and I'm just disappointed that he got injured on that play, but wish him a speedy recovery and know that he's got a bright future ahead of him.
These are now semifinalists for the Little Club. I mean, you talked about him all year, but now you've got almost an entire season of watching him this year. What are the areas you feel like he's really grown in?
I think it's maturity. I think he's just matured so much from practice habits, lifestyle off the field. He's always been a competitive player, and when the lights are on, he's always wanted to compete at the highest level. But I think he's really understood that practice practice execution equals game day reality, and he's become a really good practice player. I think he's really focused on his training and his nutrition and really how he goes about his daily life has been really impressive. And man, that play he made on a third down, getting hit by the free safety and still bouncing off and having yards after catch was as impressive a play as I've seen in a long time. I mean, almost as impressive as the 4th and 17. But
Then that whole position, back in August, you talked about blocking every day. I mean, Theo's play, obviously,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen without Mookie and Luke. How far have they come?
yeah, I mean that was really unselfish. I think that's a tribute to both Coach Moore and Coach Peeler and their emphasis on playing forward. And yeah, that play doesn't happen at all. In fact, there's a couple of plays throughout the game where our receivers immediately turned to block downfield and spring key blocks for us, and those two were awesome.
Eli,
Eli, what are some of the challenges of prepping during your short week, especially coming off an emotional win like Saturday?
Yeah, it's just time. You don't have the normal time to get the things that you want to get in, and you don't have the time to decompress or get healthy, but you still got to get your practices in. And then you want to try to be cognizant of Thanksgiving and make sure the guys have the opportunities to be normal too and have time with their families, whether it's coaches and staff. So just trying to balance all that is key. But we can try to do all that on Saturday, but we got a game to play on Friday, so we'll figure it out.
Eli Brady won SEC Co-Offensive Player of the Week, Harrison Meade Specialist of the Week, and Xavier Delgado Offensive Lineman of the Week for the conference.
Yeah.
Speak on the growth that you've seen from those three, especially their impact against Florida.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was only 2 SEC versus SEC games, so it's probably pretty easy to pick. But no, that doesn't diminish. There's obviously Brady Cook's role in the game that we played in distributing the ball and mental fortitude and courage to lead us on that 2-minute drive to win the game. Obviously, Harrison Mevis, it's a little bit disingenuous to take it for granted that he's just going to make the kick. Like, you still got to go out there, calm your nerves. You think about a sold-out stadium senior night, all the emotions, to still be able to go out there, focus, and execute the way he did was awesome. And then, Xavier Delgado, I haven't been shy about saying this. I think the guy is our most improved offensive lineman. He's the most consistent offensive lineman we have. He shows up every day. I think he's played his way into the NFL. I think he has earned and deserves an opportunity to play at that level with the amount of consistency that he's performed with over time here at Mizzou.
Coach, speaking of the offensive line, Connor Tollis, and there have been some moments with the snaps, but from a blocking standpoint, it seems like he's graded out pretty well. Just, what have you seen from him over the course of the season?
There's some moments with the snaps. That's about the nicest thing you could have said there. He has been awesome. I'm proud of the way he's battled and the way he's really formulated a lot of leadership. And at that position, you got to be a leader. I think he's really taken ownership of that position and studying and becoming a student of the game. And I'm proud of him. We got to get the snaps straightened out. Connor wants to be an offensive coordinator. He's actually got a ton of plays drawn up for me. He wants to coach quarterbacks too. And I said, well, with your accuracy snapping the ball, I don't know that we're going to be able to put you at the quarterback position coaching that. But really proud of him.
Yeah, just talks on the short week with Tyrone and Chuck, questionable. Just who are some of the other linebackers maybe take a look at?
Well, DJ Smith, our linebackers coach, I think he's got 1 year eligibility left, and Blake Baker played it at a high level, but I think he got CTE, so I don't know if we'll let him play. So if those two guys are questionable too, we got obviously Damian Wilson has played, obviously Will Norris, Carmicah Glass. We don't really want to burn Brayshawn Littlejohn's red shirt, so we won't play him this week. And then Ben Stratman if we have to.
Is this kind of like going into a bye week as far as just telling everybody, like, just finish this week off and then you kind of get a chance to relax just a little bit?
No, I mean, we don't need to trick them to want to play. There's a rivalry and a trophy. I'm not worried about these guys being motivated to play at all. At all. I don't worry about the emotions of the previous 3 games. I worry about our physical health. But our team's going to want to play. They're going to want to show up and play. It means a lot to them. This game means a lot to them, and it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to our staff. And we have a whole lot riding on this game, and it starts with the Battle Line Trophy.
Now that you've been able to look back at the film, what were some of the red zone issues this past week as far as getting touchdowns and how you kind of rectify it this week?
Yeah, obviously execution from a snap standpoint was one. Our inability on first down completions, we had the very first time we went down there, ran a tempo play through an incomplete pass, second and goal from the 10, ran the ball 4 yards, and now we have a third and goal from the 6. The third trip was a penalty. We have a touchdown. We have multiple penalties right there. We get a holding call, and then we have just a mental error. So those are all self-inflicted, and it starts with us coaching. We have to coach that area of the field better, and our players have got to pick up their concentration and execution there, knowing that if the game had not gone our way, we would have been in here kicking ourselves, knowing that those 3 drives should have resulted in touchdowns, and they were self-inflicted errors.
Eli, Arkansas reaffirmed their kind of belief in Coach Pittman this past week and said that he was coming back next year. Can you speak a little bit on kind of the expectations that come with being a coach in the SEC, kind of with the expectation of excellence that's there, just kind of how you kind of navigated through that in your time here?
Yeah, I think that was a smart decision. I think Sam Pittman is a heck of a football coach. I think he's done an outstanding job at the University of Arkansas. From when we first came in this league, we both came in together, and the resurgence of that program, and the job he's done recruiting and coaching and developing. I think back to 2 years ago we were 2-4, and the board of curators believed enough in me to reaffirm their commitment to us, and you look at the result now, and I think it sends a lot of positive message to the fans, the recruits, and to your coaching staff and to the players in that building that we're going to continue in this direction. It's the right direction. Look, expectations are expectations, and this league is the best in college football, and that's why you choose to be in it. You choose to compete at the highest level. It's the life we've chosen, as they said in The Godfather. So it is what it is.
What does it say about this conference and how tough it is to get through that? You get down to your last 2 games of the year, and these are 2 teams that obviously don't have the record they want to have, but these programs you still got to go through.
Yeah, I mean, because the reality, this is what people don't understand about the SEC, is that every team you line up against has frontline NFL players, and players win games. So, I mean, you look at Florida's team, and their record's not where they want it to be. There are a lot of close games. Graham Mertz is an NFL quarterback. They've got NFL running backs. They've got NFL offensive linemen. I mean, Ricky Pearsall is going to be an NFL wide receiver. You look on the defensive line. I mean, Princely's going to be a top 3-round draft pick. I mean, and then you go to Arkansas, and I just listed off. I mean, KJ Jefferson's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Rocket Sanders was preseason All-SEC. I think both of them were preseason All-SEC. Cam Little's one of the best kickers in the league. Defensive line wise, Landon Jackson's playing outstanding for them. Their corner, Dwight McGlothern, transfer from LSU. I think he led the SEC in interceptions last year. I mean, these guys are elite players. And, yeah, the record may not be what they wanted to be. I think they lost 5 one-score games right there in a row. So, like, that's what makes this league so challenging. And I think you look at maybe some of the other leagues, some of their middle teams don't necessarily have that same amount of talent as what this league does on every team. I mean, every team has got, they got a list of problems that you have to correct in order to even give yourself a chance before you walk onto the stadium.
I don't know what the schedule will be the next couple weeks as far as us getting to talk to you, so just.
I hope none.
I kind of figured, right, it's your
But,
decision, so.
yeah.
But I wonder if you could just kind of big picture address how big the next month is in building a program across college football beyond Friday. I mean, we have now packed everything in college football into the month of December.
Including my wife's birthday.
And there you go, so
Yeah.
just big picture, that month between Friday and whenever you play again, how big is it?
It's going to be a heck of a challenge because you're going to have to separate two things. We're going to do the very best we can to finish the season with everybody that wants to be a part of our team for the bowl game. Whether they want to transfer or not, they're going to have the opportunity to finish this year with us. But you really start completely over in rebuilding your roster. And it starts with getting current commitments from your team to say, yes, I'm coming back. Get those guys in the boat, and then you got to bring in your signing class, and then you got to figure out what transfers you need to fill in the gaps or the holes of people that are leaving, whether it's leaving to graduation or leaving to the portal. So, it's probably the most important month in determining the future of your program. And I think that's a lot of work to be done. Got to get rested up for it for sure. Caffeine and private planes. Yeah, that'll be the key for December, caffeine and private planes. And then on top of that, you're going to have coaching decisions, people making changes, coaches, assistants, just a lot of uncertainty. But, I said this last week, I think one of the best things about the University of Missouri that's going to give us a chance to really be successful is stability in the midst of instability and chaos in college football. There's a whole lot of stability here, and we're working really hard to preserve that.
Since you brought it up with coaching stuff, I would assume when you're a head coach, when you're successful, it's good news if maybe your guys have some opportunities to do something you probably have to deal with.
Yeah, look, core value number 4 for us is enjoy the journey, and everybody's got their own dreams and aspirations, and I'm not going to be selfish. I had my own journey to get to where I would like to have been, which is to be a head coach in the SEC, and in order to get there, you've got to make different decisions along your career path. And what we want to try to do is create an opportunity for everybody to believe that this is the best job for them in their current journey. And if they have opportunities to go be a head coach or be a coordinator or go back and do something closer to home for whatever reasons, a part of their family, then I never want to be standing in their way. I just don't want people to take lateral moves. And so, I've got some really good football coaches on this staff, and they have done an outstanding job at the University of Missouri and for our fans and for our players. And if that affords them another opportunity on their next step to achieving what they want to achieve, then they got my full support.
Anything else, Coach?
Schedule might change next year. Are you a fan of this game, Mizzou, Arkansas, being on the Friday, or care one way or the other?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. It's good. I think it's good. I think the national broadcast, I think, is really cool. I think it gives you a chance to sell your program, promote your program. And, when you get to the later part of the season, it's a little bit of a pain on the front end as far as your preparation, but I think all of us will be excited on Saturday to have that day off sitting around, hopefully a warm fire. Yeah. Natural gas at my house, but yeah.
My fireplace is broken, but I'll
Yeah. But it's supposed to be cold this weekend, right? Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So, all right. Yep, appreciate y'all.